So today what we're talking about is this whole idea that underneath a lot of the reasons that we are super unhappy in vet med is probably an underlying belief that you just don't believe in yourself. So why don't you believe in yourself? And is it possible that that's part of the problem, part of what's going on here? And I've got to tell you, like, at the heart of every bad client interaction, every lingering crummy case outcome, every just bad day that we have, underneath there is likely this belief that you don't believe in yourself. And you probably don't even realize that it's there. And if you're honest with yourself, it is there. And it's also impacting everything else in your life, including your mood day in and day out. So do you think it's true? I mean, do you think it's possible that could be going on? Well, I do, for sure. And obviously, or else I wouldn't be talking to you about it on a Facebook Live. But the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because I wanted to show you 3 ways that this may be showing up. And these scenarios may seem very familiar to you. They probably will sound familiar to you. So I want you to think about them in your own perspective. Tweak them a little bit if you need to for your own situation. But I really want you to hear what I'm saying about the underlying things that are going on here. And let's try to figure out whether or not you have kind of an underlying lack of belief in yourself and in your own abilities as a veterinarian. So here's a few examples. How does this usually show up for us in our days? Well, if you go back at the end of your day and you're thinking about your day and you're recapping it, maybe you're telling somebody about your day, maybe you're journaling about your day, pay attention to the words you use. Pay attention to the way that you tell the stories, because a lot of the time it's going to show up as blaming. So here's what I mean. You're recapping your day and you're going through like the whole string of terrible things that happen. Okay, well, this is like similar to earlier. All the cats, like I was here by myself and now all my coworkers are here with me. Literally all of them. You can't see the third one. Okay, can everybody just chill out a little bit? I know it's the wrong time of day. Everything's crazy today. All right, so back, where were we? So you go to recap your day, and it includes kind of usually like a long string of things of all the terrible things that happen, right? I mean, how often do you go and talk about your day and you talk about all the amazing things? Sometimes we have like the rogue amazing story that comes in here or there, but a lot of the times we go through this list of crappy things that happen and things that people did that really screwed up our day. And those stories, they're going to include things like clients and coworkers and cases that you saw, even practice owners. And they may even include things like your patients and your family and your friends. So when you're thinking about your day and you're talking about your day, I don't want you to think that I'm only talking specifically about the things that happen inside of the practice during the day. That's certainly part of it. But when you're thinking about your day and you're talking about your day, pay attention to what you say in all different areas for sure. And the thing what you're going to find is that the themes in these stories are probably going to be pretty darn similar. They're going to be things like something that happened to you, things that people did to you, things that people said to you. And really, as you kind of paint your pictures in this and paint the pictures of your day and paint the stories in these ways of being a victim, that victimization really kind of projects its way throughout your entire day, and it definitely impacts your mood. For sure. So I want to give you some actual examples of stories that we often tell, the way that we tell stories. I'm sorry, Peach. The ways that we tell stories about our days that may be really familiar. And so if any of these sound familiar, definitely let me know. I would love to know. So here are some examples of the way that you might right now be recapping your day. Here's one. I had to cancel my dinner plans because I was totally overbooked and I got out of work late again. So again, I had to cancel my dinner plans because I was totally overbooked and I got out of work late again. So that's an example. Here's another example that we might say. Clients like Mrs. Smith are so rude. This is why I hate vet med. I can't believe she actually asked me for my personal phone number. Sound familiar? So here we go again. Clients like Mrs. Smith, this is why I hate vet med. She's so rude. I cannot believe that she actually asked me for my personal phone number. And then number 3, this is why I hate dog space. Fluffy was back for the 3rd time since I spayed her last week for a seroma. I wish I never had to do surgery. So let me say that one again. This is why I hate dog space. Fluffy was back for the 3rd time since I spayed her last week for a seroma. This is why I don't want to do surgery. So you could definitely kind of plug in your own scenarios there, but those are 3 really common stories that we tell about our days. So we're talking about how did things go at work today, you know, what happened during the day. These are the kinds of things that we talk about. And if you notice, in all 3 of these, we take a very victimized stance. If we go back and take a look at them, let's look at the one about the schedule. I had to cancel my dinner plans because I was overbooked again. So you see, like, I had to, like, I had no choice because I was overbooked. Like, being overbooked was a personal attack on you. Mrs. Smith being rude and asking for your phone number. Like, I can't believe how rude she is. So there's one where we're really, like, in the moment frustrated with somebody else's behavior. Remember, we have no control over that. And then the dog spay one, just getting totally frustrated with having to see the dog again for the 3rd time in a week with a seroma post-spay. And, you know, probably the underlying part of that story is that they didn't follow your directions, right? Like, they didn't rest the dog, and maybe you even put a belly band on it after the first time and the dog ripped it off. Like, who knows what happened, but there's something frustrating there. And the reason I want to bring these up is because what you probably don't realize is that underneath all of these things that all sound, first of all, very legitimate, right? We can all agree that these things are frustrating. Like, if any one of those things happened during your day, it would be frustrating. So very, very common that we could commiserate with you on these things. But underneath all of this, what we don't actually realize is there probably is an underlying lack of belief in yourself. So I want to go through and try to point that out so you could see where it is. And then you could ask yourself whether or not that's true for you. So let's look at them a little bit closer. I had to cancel my dinner plans because I was overbooked again, and I got out of work late. Okay, in that one, on the surface, it does look like you're getting out of work, and it feels like you're getting out of work late because somebody else overbooked you and you had to stay late to see all those appointments. And that very well, you know, in looking at it, could be what happened. So that could be what happened today. But if this is something that happens over and over and over again, let's take a look at where your power is, because you do have some opportunity in the situation. If you go back and you take a look at that schedule, what you're probably going to find are some opportunities for things to be scheduled differently. If routine vaccine appointments are getting double booked at the end of the day, there's definitely opportunity to change that. If there's some poor scheduling earlier in the day that's leaving everything to get pushed and crammed to later in the day, and again, it's not true emergencies, there's probably some opportunity to change that as well. So how does it get changed? You may be thinking, well, Carrie, I'm not the one in charge of scheduling. You're right. You're probably not. But you absolutely are in a position to have a conversation about it. So this is where you're going to want to step up and stand up for yourself and have a conversation. Now, I'm not saying go in with a chip on your shoulder and demand things to be different. Excuse me. What I am saying is that you do need to have a conversation with whoever does the scheduling or the boss of whoever does the scheduling and point out how the way that things are getting scheduled is impacting your ability to get out on time. Because here's the deal. When you're working late like that, you're probably not the only one there, are you? There's probably other people who are working late as well, and everybody would probably really like to get out on time. So why don't we do this? When this is happening, why don't we think to just go have a conversation? Well, number one reason is you're probably afraid. Most of us don't like to have uncomfortable conversations on purpose. It's not fun. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how they're going to react. And so rather than step up and go and have a difficult conversation, we just continue to accept it the way that it is. The schedule in this case, the way that it is. And then we buy into this story that we have no choices, that we are just victims of this overbooked schedule and missing out on our plans. And then over time, we buy into this idea that this is just the way it is, that this is life in vet med. But it's not, and it doesn't have to be, but it has to change somewhere. And because this is directly related to you, this is your opportunity to step up and have a conversation.